Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RENNSPORT community events. Here today at Orchard Road with the TCR cars for two sprint races, the polar opposite of what we've seen here yesterday. Last time showed us that TCR races can get very hectic, so I'm sure we'll get some new knowledge about that today. The walls are a lot closer than on Road Atlanta, but therefore it's a bit more even, so it will be interesting. But of course I won't get you through this evening alone. Back to 2 it is for today, because Tim Island is accompanying me through the evening.
Hello Lino, hello people on Twitch. How are you guys doing today? It's great to see you back after yesterday's marathon event. But yeah, today's is a little bit shorter. It's not quite as taxing for us in the commentary box or indeed these guys on track. It's just some sprint races in TCRs around Orchard Road, which should be fun.
Yeah, TCR cars always, let's say, one of the most actionable cars. Front wheel drive, about 350 horsepower, no TC, but we at least get a bit of ABS around here. We will jump into qualifying in just a second, but yeah, yesterday endurance-based GT3 race, 2.4 hours, won by Alizaya, and today we will have two 15-minute races for the drivers to get through the tight streets of Orchard Road. So let's take a look, shall we? First car out on track here in qualifying, OG Stan in the Hyundai. Orchard Road really a very different track to what we have in the game. In terms of other tracks, it's a lot slower. But at the same time, it is very tricky. It is very bumpy in certain areas. But Tim, I know you have done some laps around this track. What do you think about it and the TCRs?
I am the wrong person. I love TCRs. I'm obviously British, so I've grown up with a lot of British Touring Car Championship. I love a good touring car race. However, I hate street circuits. I appreciate that Orchard Road is nice and twisty and it's short and it makes a good touring car track. I will just forever hate all street circuits with an immense passion. I'm sorry, don't like them.
Well, lucky for you, I do. Maybe that evens it out a bit. But yeah, the touring cars, of course. I think that's the big factor here today. Really divides people into certain groups. Some love them, some hate them. They are very different. As we now get our first few lap times in. Oh, in the background, hard impact for one of the Audis. Currently Piotr Zadaibu with the fastest lap. Got on the podium in the second split yesterday. Back for more here today.
Yeah, I've got a few more Audis on track than yesterday. We didn't have. We only had one in the top split, I think, for Nord's Life. So it's good to see more Audis on track today. Of course, the choice is slightly more limited, but people seem to have decided it's good, so they're going with it.
Well, some of them may also go with what is currently in the pre-rotation, because if you want to try the Audi, it's currently you're able to drive it for free alongside the AMG GT3, and I think it's the 963 as well. But yeah, a couple of laps these drivers have around here, since the lap time is very short in the 7-minute session. Go through Orchard Turn and onto Boulevard now. Really tricky section where you go from a very dark, shadowy bit into the light. In general, Orchard has a lot of different lighting conditions.
Yeah, it does for sure, and the lights definitely help you see where the braking markers are. which otherwise they can be a bit of a pain, especially in the dark sections.
Well, most of us have done their laps, the ones they could do. Fastest lap set by Ruan Den Hood, 1:16.793. He will start on pole position alongside Enrico Bräuninger. It's an FDRT front row lockout. Piotr Zadalbe in third, David Baker in fourth. We've talked a lot about him yesterday, and it's looking good for some continuation of that today.
Yeah, I think regular kind of viewers of our races will probably have had a fairly decent idea of who was going to be up there in competitive as far as times are concerned. We've got a bit more of a midfield pack than we maybe usually do, but still a good amount of TCRs on track, always good for some racing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
And racing we go. It has been a very good start from Enrico Bräuninger, who's immediately putting on the pressure in that orange Elantra on the outside in the Elantra. That's Jason Kazar, who's immediately going for third, going into turn one. Few cents in the midfield, but it seems to go through without much contact. So people just slowly footing their way through. See a mirror flying in the background, but apart from that, clean start.
Oh, that was a fairly civilized first couple of corners there. Not used to seeing that in TCRs.
Oh, it's talking about that, a bit of contact behind, but not too big of an issue. The two Desdelivery Audis, I think that's Dennis Kurz and Schmalk 81, in 5th and 6th. But up front, it's Enrico Bräuninger under pressure from David Baker, who seems to be really on fire with those TCR cars.
Got a couple of people seem to have taken damage and immediately DNF'd the race, which is a bit disappointing. There was plenty of time to catch some stuff up.
Well, they technically still have a second chance. I think only 2 people, or we lost 3 people, but one big impact there for, I think that was the 14. Some damage to the right hand side of Jace. Maybe it was his mirror we saw flying off into high rise. Currently on the tail end of Sasha Andrich. Let's go on board here. A little bit of a wide line for Sasha Andrich. We've seen one of the main characteristics with these cars, because if the wheel starts sliding out, you put pedal to the metal to catch it.
Yeah, it's the only front-wheel drive and front-engine car we have in, well, not the only front-engine, but the only front-wheel drive car we have in RENNSPORT right now, and it can catch people out with it, how it drives differently compared to the rear-wheel drive cars.
What you of course usually tend to see is some people being a bit of a specialist in those cars, because they require a very certain skill set. I think Damco, Rome and Audi Stan having a bit of a fight here. Schmalk further dropping down the order after his hit exiting Patterson.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of contact earlier on, and some people waiting, which was nice of them, as long as they keep out of the racing line while they're doing it. Ruan Den Hood making a fairly clean getaway at the front of the field. Now 2.3 seconds clear to Enrico Bräuninger, who is 2 seconds clear of David Baker.
I see a few wall touches here and there, nothing too bad, but like always just brushing the wall. You can get away with it, but you probably don't want to do it too often. Damage does accumulate over time after all. Piotr Zadalbe is putting on pressure.
Yeah, Piotr Zadalbe there seems to be looking pretty racy against David Baker as they go through Boulevard and towards Patterson. A
double right-hander. Oh, again a slight hit for David Baker.
Yeah, those little wall collisions do accumulate over time, so you don't want to be getting too many of them.
OG Stan currently in 10th. Oh, and that was Damco Rome who spun out in front of him into the wall. Was able to not hit it too much, so he is able to continue without any further issues. Of course, this race for him is... It's not over, things can still happen throughout, but he is quite far down now. But second race will start reverse grid. So, as it stands currently, he would start race 2 from pole position.
Is it top 10 reversed?
It is top 10 reversed, so... If he just keeps the car there...
I meant to ask you that before the broadcast started.
Well, it is most certainly good to know, but... Yeah, top 10 does get reversed for the second start. Taking the results of the first race. And David Baker is always breaking traction on the rear. Piotr Zadybel close behind.
Yeah, Piotr Zadybel has been very close behind David Baker there, and you can see Dennis Kurtzer is creeping a little bit closer. Can't seem to be able to break past David Baker yet, though. Just not quite close enough to make a move from it. But he's getting put under pressure himself now by Dennis Kurtzer.
Nice 3-car train we have here.
Yeah. We've got a bit of Tim Troy flashing going on there. But David Baker, a little bit of a cork in a bottle.
Running a bit wide there.
Yeah, running a little bit wide coming into Grange, using all of the track and a little bit extra for good measure.
Did do a good comeback though.
I think if Piotr Zadybel can force him offline for a little bit, then I think Dennis Kurtzer will immediately follow through. We'll have a good touring car double overtake situation.
But doesn't seem to be that easy. David Baker seems to be very good now. Piotr Zadybel to the inside, coming into Kernel. Makes a good move, but now maybe David Baker trying the double undercut. Has the better exit out of high rise, and we drag race towards Somerset.
Yeah, it's another right-hander though, so Piotr Zadybel still on the inside line, just not able to maximise the exit. Dennis Kurtzer squeezing his way through.
That was a very nice side-by-side, and still not over, because Dennis Kurtzer now still having to decide from David Baker who's going around the outside. Can't quite stick it there, but it was a very, very nice try to do the double undercut through turns 1 and 2.
It was a good setup.
But it now leaves Piotr Zadybel being able to build a bit of a gap to the two Audis.
And OG Stan catching his way up to our very own Jason, who is right behind Ladislav Pionkovic.
Who both just went off. And are still stuck in the exit way of Orchard Churn.
Yeah, it's the many point turn to get around there, and both cars are looking pretty battered. OG Stan probably saying, thanks, I'll take both of those positions, and disappear off into the distance.
But misbraking that can happen so easily. You have a lot of bumps. I think the two bumpiest braking zones you have are going into Kernhill turn 1 and Orchard turn 7, which is also a bit of downhill action actually, while Dennis Kurtzer is closing in on Piotr Zadybel for that third position. But the car is really getting unsettled at times. You have that curb on the inside as well, which you hit on later. And those TCRs, you only have one axle to really put power and steering down, so you stress it even more than in any rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah, that is very true. And keeping the back tyres up to temperature can be quite a challenge. They tend to get pretty cold. We have I've had an update to RENNSPORT this week, which has changed how ABS and TC works.
Dennis Kurzer with a big hit in the wall.
Kurzer.
And David Baker having to take to the access road.
Oh.
And I think that is Sasha Unrich going through. Taking 5th. Now what's the damage on Dennis' car? There's a lot of damage to the front left. The tire that gets used most on this circuit. So definitely not ideal.
Yeah, it's not the one you want damaging. You'd rather keep that nice and clean, thank you very much.
Well, actually, depending on if his suspension geometry is broken or not, could be a bit of a homage to a certain NASCAR race many years ago. Some of you might know the track Martinsville, which is a very short, very short layout. And Radoslav Piwonkiewicz is listed as 8th now. Jason Kezar lost out a bit more. But he would start on the front row for the second race, if that's any celebration. Meanwhile, Ron Renholt controlling the race up front. But in said race, a certain Dale Earnhardt Jr., which I think also a lot of people might recognize in terms of the name, picked up damage on the front right, so also the loaded tire, basically removing the body panels there. But the extra air coming to the tires cooled the tire down more than on any competitor, and he ended up being a lot faster than any competitor due to that damage.
That's fair. It's one of those mysterious things that happens in motorsport sometimes.
Well, you can't really plan for it. I mean, there will always be people who think you plan for it, but you really can't.
David Baker trying to make a bit of a comeback on Sasha Andrek. Just a few too many clips of the wall.
Again, he's more or less just swinging the back into the wall, which isn't helping, but on the other hand, with the front-wheel drive car, you can sacrifice the rear a bit. But if you do it like that, you will damage your driven tires, which will cost you a lot of lap time. Up front, the Ron Renholt's car looks pretty clean. Doesn't seem to have any incidents so far.
Yeah, he's had a pretty flag-to-flag victory so far. Not wanting to curse him, but so he should be pretty clean. His lap times are good. His best lap time is 16.9. Enrico Breuninger in second place. His best lap time is 17.6. So he's got a fair pace advantage for such a small track, and he's using it as much as he can to just walk away and claim some points.
Well, we have a bit of a fight going our way. The aforementioned David Baker closing in on Sasha Unrich. Going into Grange, then the left-hander Link.
His lap's been a lot cleaner this time. He's a bit less fast and the furious around all the corners.
In general, so far, I'm surprised at how much easier people have taken it compared to Road Atlanta. But in Road Atlanta as well, the second race ended up being very chaotic, of course, where Ron Renholt flipped his car through turn 5.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I'd forgotten about that.
We've seen a lot of cars flipping in recent times because people just went a bit too wide. Or a bit too far in terms of what they can put. We've seen Ali Zahir flipping his car at the Nordschleife in round 4. Yeah. Last season we've seen Kimi Harpala after contact with Ronin Hood, flipping over in the M2s at Nordschleife. And then, of course, Ron's massive rollover at Road Atlanta, just completely spinning out into the gravel and then catching the bumps. And Baker seems to lose out a bit here on Sashanrich, though.
Yeah, he's had a couple of messy corners again. Correcting his trajectory with the barriers. So that's lost him a little bit of time, I think. Sasha Andrich seems to have got a bit of clean air and has kept the pace pretty consistent.
Yeah, on the final lap here, still the fight for P5 going on. The rest is pretty much set unless there's a bigger mistake. For Ron, I think a good first race. But the next one will be a lot more challenging, starting from P10.
Yeah, he's, you want to get through the field as quick as you can, but you also don't want to do it. You don't want to put yourself in danger while you're doing it. So it's a tricky thing to do. We all know that Rowan's fairly aggressive when it comes to overtakes, so I'm sure he'll take no prisoners.
Well, as long as he doesn't basically make himself a prisoner. There's some damage to the left-hand door, I just noticed. True. But with the walls that close, you maybe sometimes have to take it a bit easier. For the first race, he didn't have to take it easy. Lights to flag victory. And Enrico Bräuniger staying in second. 7th. It actually won't be, it will be 9th on the next grid. Dennis Kurz actually went past Piotr Zadaris somewhere, so must have had an off before. Who will be 5th though? I think it's Sasha Andrich.
Yeah, I think so.
OG Stan started quite far down the order, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I think he started a fair amount further down. Yeah, he gained 5 places in that race. So, good result for him, fighting his way up to 7th.
With that pace...
Dennis Kurtz also gained 4.
Slav Pionkovic, the last run of track. We'll hope for a bit of a better race next time with the contact pretty much taking him out of contention. He will start in 3rd though. He had a good starting position last time. Road Atlanta was very unlucky going into turn 1. But yeah, first race, maybe the warm-up.
True.
Yeah, reverse grid of course will create a lot of different situation, a lot of unpredictability for the second race. As you said, being aggressive does have its up and downs. Damn Rome will lead them down the straight. You see already the flash are being deployed by Enrico Bräuniger there in the back.
Wasting no time in letting people know that he wants to go through.
It's again Audi and Hyundai on the front row. So I don't think you can really complain about the difference between the car.
No, I don't think so. I think they're close enough for it to not matter. There is a little bit of difference between them just where they generate the speed, but I think it's pretty close.
15 more minutes of racing actions coming our way here in Orchard, Singapore. You hear the engines come to life. The flashes being activated. And we go racing for the second time. It has been a good start for them. As they approach Colonel Jason Kazas being swallowed a bit left and right. OG Stan immediately trying to go down the inside, going for that second place in the back. Enrico Borninger is taking it a bit easier. There's contact, I think that's Piotr Zadybel in the 8. As one of the Audi slips through on the outside. And OG Stan drops down the order, still too wide. Oh, and that's the 3. That should be Dennis Kurzer in the wall. Damco Rome being able to retain the lead after an interesting opening phase.
Yeah, we've got a lot of 3 and 4 wide action going on there, which was a bit crazy. Damco Rome just losing it a little bit, coming through into Link. So he's getting pretty hotly contested by Jason.
It definitely is a lot more chaotic run than Hurt up into 6th. And Enrico Borninger was just involved in a bit of a collision with one of the Audis in 7th. Radoslav Pionkiewicz losing another position, this time to David Baker, who moves up into the podium positions as we go towards Kernhill for the second time.
Oh, David Baker taking it heavy through there. Taking a little bit of front end damage.
We go 3 wide. And one in it undercutting Radoslav Pionkiewicz.
Oh, running very wide.
Up front, Jason Kesana really putting the pressure on Damco Rome. Seems to have the much better line through Grange and Link.
And David Baker going pretty defensive there with Rowan de Herd behind him. He knows the kind of pace Rowan's got, so he's being pretty cautious.
Did a slight wall tap, but seems to not affect him too much just yet. And I think Jason Kesana just took the lead from Damco Rome, who's had a very poor exit out of Patterson and is being swallowed by David Baker and possibly Rowan den Hurt, but he breaks later. And I think that was a bit of a chain reaction there.
Yeah, for sure.
OG Stan and Dennis Kurzer trying to move up the field. Enrico Borninger up to 6th in the meantime. And around the outside into the wall, losing a mirror. And that will cost him too much momentum to get past Radoslav Pionkiewicz. And yet another move by Rowan den Hurt.
Yeah, just squeezing past David Baker there as they came through Grange and into Link. I think he was holding a little bit of a cork in the bottle for Rowan de Herd, who will now be making his way up towards Jason Kesana.
But a 2-second lead, that in TCR races is quite big. Enrico Borninger just moving up into 5th, past Radoslav Pionkiewicz. Dennis Kurzer also moved past OG Stan. Now has a good run behind his Audi colleague and using the flasher. We rarely see Dennis Kurzer using the flasher.
Yeah, he seems to have been pretty liberal with it today. Maybe he's decided to try something a bit more aggressive.
Up front, the lead is coming down though.
Yeah, Piotr Zadybel's got past David Baker as well, so he's free to try and close the gap on Rowan de Herd, which he seems to be doing fairly well right now. Well, the gap is fairly big.
The Audi in front, that's Damco Rome, who's having issues with his car, now being a lap down. But Piotr Zadybel can't really shake David Baker. Hyundai vs Audi for P1 and 2, and for P3 and 4, and for P5 and 6. Brennan Hood keeping
Rowan's,
a bit closer to the inside.
yeah, he's starting to have a little peak coming through Patterson. He's got a good run out of there, so I'm expecting him to get a decent slipstream coming into Ken Hill. Oh, but deciding against it for now.
Piotr Daibe is dropping down big, and he has huge damage to his car. And also to the front and rear.
David Baker, one of the earlier stars of the race as well, seems to have dropped all the way back down to 9th place.
So Rondenhood has taken the lead of the race. Dennis Kutzer trying to get past Vladislav Pironkovic for 4th. I'm really surprised at how many places these guys drive too wide.
Yeah, for sure. It's very strange.
Kutzer on the inside. And a beautiful move there to take 4th in this race. Valiant effort from Vladislav Pironkovic, but Dennis Kutzer has that tiny bit more grip to move up the field. And Enrico Bräuninger is finally moving up into 3rd as well. Sasha Andrich with the left-hand indicator on. I wonder if he learned that from Dominik Ladler. Let's go on board with Enrico Bräuninger here for a moment. Listen to the 4-cylinder turbo motor. .3 seconds. That's the difference between the two Elantras going for 2nd and 3rd here. Ronan Hood is way out front. Don't think Enrico Bräuninger or Jason Kizza will be able to catch the Dutchman.
Yeah, I think Enrico is just going to be focusing on trying to catch Jason right now. He's pretty close, so it shouldn't be too long before he starts making moves.
Enrico Bräuninger, what's interesting about him, of course, is that he's actually part of multiple different teams at the moment. Now he's having or driving under the BST banner, but to my knowledge he is still listed as an FDIT driver as well. Now having a look at the inside after passing. Oh, and I wonder who that was. That's a trap. That's Demko Rome.
Yeah.
Sure what exactly happened there. Of course, now huge damage to the car from Enrico Bräuninger. I think J.Skill also took some damage on the rear. You can see the wing only being slightly present anymore. Sasha Andrich still with the left-hand indicator on. Trying to hunt down OG Stan for 6th. One neat thing, of course, with still having your side view mirror is that the indicator also still works on it. Bit tighter to the inside, Sasha Andrich here, through range and then having a wider line through Link. Definitely putting the pressure onto OG Stan. And Dennis Kurtzer's right with Jason and Enrico here for P2. Jump on board with the German. Jason and Kizar going a bit wide. Now we are side by side into high rise.
Just holding it ahead there.
Also good exit there for Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, Dennis Kurtzer with the send down the inside. And taking third place. A bit of contact, but it is TCR Racing after all. So Dennis Kurtzer up into third, going a bit wide now though. Let's hope that Enrico Bonilla can't build the momentum to make a move into Orca turn.
A good battle going on for second place, though. I know Rowan de Herd has disappeared off into the distance as far as the win is concerned, but Dennis Kurtzer and Rico Breining are kind of tripping each other up. Why, Jason? Why?
Just missed his breaking point there. There's also still a fight between 6th and 7th. Got his dive a bit on his own, but Sasha Unrich got past OG Stan is not quite clear of him yet.
No, it's still definitely within kind of slipstreaming range.
Out front though, it is Rondon Hood. He really likes those TCR cars. And I think
he does, yeah. Considering he complains about them quite a lot, he seems to get on with them very well.
Well, he said previously that this might be one of his favorite combinations, or something along those lines at least. And knowing that he always rewatches the stream, well, I guess it suits him very well. But I think after this one, just one more lap to go. 22 seconds to Dennis Kurtzer, who's done 2 very good races, I'd say. Moved up in both.
Yeah, for sure. Dennis Kurtzer and Enrico Breininger both gained 6 places. Rowan de Herd obviously gained the most because he went from 10th to 1st.
Well, one more lap to go in this second race here today. Almost sounds like there's a third one, but no, it will be the final result here after this one.
Yeah, Rowan crossing the line with about 25 seconds to go, so this will be the last lap for everybody. Enrico Breininger still kind of in contention for second place. He's dropped back a little bit, but he's kind of around there. Jason Gazar is pretty close to Radoslav Pionkovic, so there might be an opportunity.
For one, then Hood, he exits Exeter and onto the back straight. It's actually very interesting if you drive just down below the trees, which really overhang the whole street.
It feels a lot closer than it probably is.
It does.
Because of the overhanging trees and stuff.
One final time through Orchard and Boulevard and onto Patterson Road before he turns in to get into Orchard Road, the name-giving street of the circuit. 2 races, 2 wins. It's a pretty clean sweep here for Brandon Hood in the Audi. And it seems like it will be Dennis Kurzer coming home in second in race number 2. Made up a lot of positions in the first race, made up another good spot of positions in the second one.
Yeah, Rico Breuninger just not able to get close enough to make a move there. Unfortunate for him. Good result for Dennis Kurzer.
And a good result for Radoslav Pironkiewicz as well. Pretty much a horror first race, but a pretty good second one. Jason Kazar having to settle for 5th after a very good showing at the start of the race. Sasha Andrich able to take home 6th. OG Stan dropped quite a lot more time. He will come home in 7th, and then we still have Piotr Zadaibe and David Baker. Lost quite a considerable amount of car in this race. But I guess that were the races for today.
Yep, short and sweet. A lot less of us yakking nonsense than yesterday.
Well, that's the point, is it? Yeah, but very, very different kind of racing. Short, action-packed, and I think also a very nice different thing from yesterday. I really enjoyed yesterday's race. I do like the other type of racing here today, though. And we will probably bring it back. It was, I think people got along much better with the TCRs than at Atlanta last time. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they did for sure. The guys who were out there were doing some pretty clean maneuvers, a bit of wall bouncing here and there, and except for a couple of cases, I think it was some pretty good racing.
Well, next week we will be back with the RENNSPORT Community League, starting off the second half of the season in Fuji. Is a very wide track again, and especially with the GT3s you can see a lot of racing action. And of course, after that the next season of RNL will start, and we will have the next RCE, which we will communicate with you soon. Until then, I'd say that was it for this weekend, basically. It was a very, very racing action-packed weekend, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We are both in real life and here on RENNSPORT. We've had a lot of racing going on this weekend. So thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks for everyone who took part as well.
Yeah, indeed. If there's still some racing going on, actually, so if you want to check out some more cars driving in circles, there's plenty of you for you to discover. Next week, one thing I forgot to mention, it won't be streamed here on Twitch, but we still have a Spa 2.4 hour race on Sunday 6 PM. If you want to join that, feel free. Some of us might be there too. And yeah, I hope you enjoy that as well. The last year's 2.4 hour of Spa was a very interesting race. We had Moritz Wilm and Yuri Castro up there doing a last to first challenge. And things have changed since then for the better. So yeah, I'd say enjoy the weekend. Until next time, and goodbye.
Goodbye.